Hey folks, it's man once again. Welcome back to another review for a film that I do feel is pretty underrated. Paul Verhoeven film called Hollow Man. And I enjoy this movie. Right off the bat, I enjoy this film. I like that it's an R-rated slasher film fused with an Invisible Man movie. I like the cast. I think Kevin Bacon did a great job as the main scientist, doctor, more the scientist who, of course, makes himself be the guinea pig, slowly loses his mind, and starts killing his fellow workers. I thought Elisabeth Shue did a great job as our female lead and hero. Josh Brolin's in it as Elisabeth Shue's new boyfriend, hubby, who's also a scientist. You also have Tim Dickens, Greg Grunberg, William Devane, who he's been in a lot of films from the past, like Rolling Thunder. Jerry Goldsmith did the music for this, which I forgot. I miss Jerry Goldsmith. Thought he did a pretty good score. Mark Goldblatt. That's a guy, if you're a big fan of action films, you've heard of this guy because he's edited a lot of the great action films. He edited this, and of course Mark Goldblatt also directed Dolph Lundgren's The Punisher, which is a favorite of mine. So you have a lot of competent people involved in this. And also Alec Gillies and Tom Woodruff Jr. worked on some of the visual effects. For some reason I want to say ILM did as well. Great special effects. And I know that Paul Verhoeven in an interview talked about how he was kind of disappointed in this movie. Well, anyone could have made that film, and no one could have made RoboCop like I did. No one could have made Starship Troopers like I did. But this seemed like a typical Hollywood film that anyone could have made. And that's why he sort of went back to his homeland and decided to make movies there. I don't understand that at all. I really don't. First off, Paul, you're wrong. You're flat out wrong. Because not anyone would have made this film. Because how many fucking R-rated Invisible Man slasher films with a lot of blood and tits do you see nowadays? Or even back then? None! I mean, even if you... Invisible Man movies, period. I mean, you have Memoirs of Invisible Man. I think back in the day there was a film called The Invisible Maniac or something like that. There's the original Invisible Man, which I reviewed when I reviewed a bunch of the Universal horror movies. And I like the original The Invisible Man. I'm sure there's one called The Invisible Kid, and I know there's one with Steve Gutenberg where he played an Invisible Man. I've never seen it, but I've heard of it. I know my friend Mike has the VHS of it. But there's really not that many Invisible Man movies, period. Especially R-rated ones, and especially slasher ones where it doesn't hold back on the gore, and it doesn't hold back on the nudity. And this is honestly my favorite Invisible Man movie. And since then, I'm trying to think what other Invisible Man movies have there been. I remember the Invisible Man TV show that I have on the first season on DVD, which probably made it around the time of this or before. But there was an Invisible Man in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I mean, I'm trying to think. Maybe he's part of a movie, but how many strictly Invisible Man movies have there been lately? Not too fucking many. The piece of shit sequel to this with Christian Slater in it. But I thought the cast did a great job. Elisabeth Shue showed a strength. I thought she did better here than in Piranha 3D. I believe she's in Piranha 3D. And she should have brought this character, because this character was a badass. Piranha 3D, she really didn't have anything to do. That was one of the problems I had with the flick. And Kevin Bacon, he was charming. But at the same time, when he was a killer, he really turned that switch, and he was a killer that you know, didn't want to fuck with. I mean, it's Kevin Bacon. I liked him as an actor ever since Tremors, and of course he's been in Footloose, and of course that game Six Degrees of Kevin Bacon. You can link him to so many people in 6 ways or less. He's been in a lot of films, Kevin Bacon. Josh Brolin, like I say, he did a good job supporting wise, and the special effects I thought still hold up. They're still pretty damn good. Once in a Blue Moon, okay, yeah, CGI is not the best, but it's from 2000, and I think for the most part the CGI is great to watch, great to look at. I think the effects guys lost to Gladiator, and I'm like, what the fuck was so great about the effects in Gladiator as opposed to this? Like Gladiator, oh wow, here's a tiger. Or what the fuck? I mean, oh wow, tiger? Okay, how about you just have a real fucking tiger? I think, oh, they did. Well, okay, then what was so great about the effects in Gladiator as opposed to this? Hey, this is the same Oscars that never nominated John Carpenter's The Thing for effects, even though it's considered some of the best special effects of all time. So it figures. But anyway, I know I haven't gotten to the film, but the film, I like that it's an R-rated slasher movie. That's really what it is. I think that's why a lot of critics and people hate it. Oh, it's just because an R-rated fucking, you have some tits and you have some gore, and you're like, well, are there tits? Well, he's an invisible man. He looks into people. When people sleep, women are sleeping, he fucks with them. That is part of the temptation of being an invisible man, especially who's going to be. The whole point is that he's going bonkers because of the serum, because of the, I forget what they call the liquid. So of course, if you're going more deranged, you would do that kind of stuff. Sorry about that, folks. You know what kind of movie you're getting with at the beginning of the film when you see a rat going around and it gets picked up by something invisible, and you realize later on it's the gorilla that they used as a test subject, and the gorilla bites the head off the invisible rat. The invisible gorilla bites the head off the rat. The fucking head got bit off. So my friend would say, the fucking head got bit off. You see the whole thing. It doesn't cut away. Here's the rat. And you see the rat's head just tear open and tear off and just blood pumping. I'm like, okay, that's a Paul Verhoeven movie. So I'm sorry, Paul. I think you're wrong. Not anyone would have made this film, and honestly, this is my third favorite of yours. I don't know which would be number one. It's RoboCop or Total Recall that he did. Because I love those two films so much. And after that, it would be this film. Like, I like this film more than Starship Troopers. I don't hate Starship Troopers. I like Starship Troopers for a bit. But what I don't like about Starship Troopers is really all those guys in the movie are pretty much bad guys, if you think about it. Neil Patrick Harris, he becomes a Gestapo guy. He was dressing like them. And all the kids, the whole point of the film is them turning into killers who don't think for themselves, who buy into the propaganda, and really we're the bad guys in that movie. Even someone mentions, oh wait a minute, we were doing this and the rots were going to their planet and they were fucking them up and they just want, revenge. And someone's like, shut up. And so it's marketed as this fun action movie, but really we're the bad guys in the film. It's our fault. And also Casper Van Dien sucks as an actor, so it's kind of hard to root for him. So the eye candy is good in Starship Troopers, but there's really no one to root for because, in essence, they're the bad guys. Even if most of them don't know that they are, but really, they are the bad guys. And the human race are the bad guys. In a way. That's why it's hard for me to watch that film, because I'm like, well, I don't give a shit if these people die. The Buds are just bad guys because they look different and they look creepy, or, because they're Buds. But anyway, that's a different review for a different day. I know a lot of people see the film differently as I do, but I mean, I like the film for the eye candy action scenes and special effects, but I prefer this. Because Elisabeth Shue I do like, and Josh Brolin I do like. And Tara Bacon, you meant to hate him. And like I said, Paul, I'm sorry, no one would have made this film. No one would have made a film where a fucking invisible gorilla bites the head off a fucking rat and you see everything. I don't know what Paul Verhoeven's talking about, but he also says RoboCop is about Jesus. Well, or not really about Jesus, but I mean, anyway. He compares RoboCop to Jesus. But yeah, Kevin Bacon, Elisabeth Shue is his call it ex-girlfriend, ex-wife, ex-whatever. And Josh Brolin and them are working underground in this underground facility on Invisibility. I thought the special effects were great when they're showing the invisible gorilla shaking the cage, and they have these cool night vision goggles as it gets out, bites Josh Brolin's hand, and escapes. $10 says I nailed her first. And then Josh Brolin missed, and even Kevin Bacon makes fun of him for it, and Kevin Bacon is able to shoot the gorilla, tranquilize it. And they... just the way the special effects are done, have an invisible gorilla and they spray this blue stuff so they can see the vein, and they put it in, and the gorilla's going apeshit crazy, and you see it go from invisible to bone structure to now you see veins, blood, muscle tissue, the gorilla itself, and then when the gorilla is walking around later, it's a practical gorilla, and I think Tom Woodruff Jr. is actually in the gorilla suit. And then, like, invisibility made sense to do in that kind of special effects because you can't do that practical. It's absolutely impossible. At least that made sense, and I think the effects are still pretty damn good to watch. They're fun to watch. And I don't understand the big hate for it. And I gotta get my drink here. And close that door so keep the cold air in. This is hotter than fuck. But as I was saying, this is really cool to watch, and they bring the gorilla back, and the gorilla's fine. Much more calmer now. And Kevin Bacon, for some stupid reason, they go to the Pentagon, and even though they've succeeded, Kevin Bacon lies. And pretty much it's because he wants to test it on humans, he wants to test it on himself, he wants to know what it's like. And, you know, it's his ego that gets in the way and pretty much becomes his undoing. He actually does tell the Superman Wonder Woman joke where Superman sees Wonder Woman and she's fully naked and he goes down quickly, you know, pumps her, leaves. And Wonder Woman's like, what was that? And the Invisible Man is like, I don't know, but my ass hurts. I mean, I didn't tell the joke 100% top to bottom, but I've heard that joke before. So it's kind of funny hearing that joke from Kevin Bacon's mouth in this movie. And I like some of the dialogue when Josh Brolin asks him if he has any last words, and Kevin Bacon says, if I die, pretend I said something deep and clever. I thought the effects of him turning into invisible were great. And he becomes invisible, and just the stuff he starts doing as his mind starts fucking with him. There's one of the scientists are sleeping, and while she's sleeping, he sneaks in and is able to look at her nipple and playing with it. He's able to listen to conversations. People are talking, they leave the room, and all of a sudden the chair moves, and you go, oh shit, he was in the room. They try to bring him back, it doesn't work. They make a mask for him, and they cut out the eye holes, thus why he's called the Hollow Man. He's going stir crazy, he sneaks out. His neighbor is actually Rona Mitra, who I guess was the inspiration for the look of Lara Croft. She's tried to act a few times, she's not really a good actress, but here she's just there to look pretty. And you get the idea that he came in and raped her. But it was done tastefully enough. It wasn't done for 5-10 minutes or but it was done enough that you get the idea, but it doesn't dwell on it for, 10 minutes. And again, it shows that, what's that line of dialogue that he says? It's amazing what you can do when you can't look at yourself in the face anymore. Or you can't look at your face in the mirror anymore. Which I thought was another good line, which you hear in the trailer. And doing good effects like he's splashing his face, and this is definitely better than, say, Memoirs of Invisible Man. Memoirs of Invisible Man, which really enough, that's not even on DVD except the stupid Warner Archive. That's a John Carpenter film, one of the few John Carpenter films I don't care for, because that one, it tried to be like, it's not a comedy because Chevy Chase didn't want to be funny, but it's not really much of a thriller either, because do you really buy Chevy Chase in that? And then yeah. This one I thought was much better of a thriller, horror. I mean, this is meant to be a horror film, thriller film. And even someone asks him, hey, did you go out and do anything? Come on, you didn't do anything, really? Oh, well, there's this woman. Oh, yeah, what happened? Maybe I scared her a little. Oh, yeah, how'd it feel? I liked it. I thought Kevin Bacon did a great job acting-wise, and again, the effects, even the Hollow Man look, almost a little bit of a Michael Myers vibe in a way. And I say in a way, it does have a little bit of that Michael Myers vibe, which was cool. And that brings it to the fun slasher element. But again, that's why all the critics hate it, because it just, in the third act, pretty much, Kevin Bacon finds out that it is Josh Brolin sleeping with Elisabeth Shue. One of the test dogs who's invisible is yapping. And this is one of those shots I like where the camera pans up to the infrared, and we see all this via infrared. And the Kevin Bacon is saying, shut up, shut up. Takes the dog and just slams it right into the wall. And you see blood just splat all over, but it's all done in infrared. And it's one of those, ooh, shit moments. That are, oh, fuck. Kind of brutal in a way, but it really shows how far this guy's gone and deranged, and that's the point of the film. That's what I like about it. It's not just him doing teeny things. He's really, you really see this insanity going. And they find out that Kevin Bacon has tricked them with this thing with the video so that it looks like he's still in the room, but he's not. The Elisabeth Shue and Josh Brolin talk to William Devane, but then Kevin Bacon, when they leave, goes in and drowns William Devane. And even him getting out of the pool and all the water coming out off of him, and then him becoming invisible again, really good special effects. And the third act, Kevin Bacon pretty much traps the scientists underground. He's fucked up the phones, he's changed the codes for them to get out. So it's a bunch of scientists trapped in one location with a maniac. Like a slasher movie. And that's definitely where critics fucking hated the film. But that's what I like, is how many Invisible Man slash movies are there? You got a slasher movie with Invisible Man that has top-notch special effects, that has great actors like Kevin Bacon, Elisabeth Shue, and Josh Brolin, that doesn't skimp on the nudity, which you've seen some titties already, doesn't skip on the gore, the blood. You do definitely see that. I mean, one person gets strangled, and they even find her body in a locker. One gets choked, and you see the indentations, and when his head goes down, it hits one of those, like a pipe or something, and boom, the head just splat of blood, and yeah, he's bleeding out of his head real badly. One guy gets stabbed in the back, and impaling through his chest. Another, he's chasing this woman who is trying to get this blood to save someone, but then has to use the blood, so there's literally blood everywhere, blood on the floors, in order to see his footprints or anything. And then she gets her neck broken. Josh Brolin gets injured, gets stabbed right in the side. and him and Shue are pretty much left there to freeze to death. But then she makes this thing, this magnet to slide the door open, and again, this is a badass moment for Elisabeth Shue. Makes a little flamethrower. Right before Kevin Bacon goes in the elevator, she slides in on her knees and just fries Kevin Bacon with a fucking flamethrower. I mean, come on, you got Elisabeth Shue fuck up an invisible man with a flamethrower. That's my kind of movie. And Elisabeth Shue's doing something. Like, you think you're God, huh? You're not God now. Not much of a God now, are you? I forget the actual dialogue, but it's something like that. Uh, frying bacon, weirdly enough. Frying bacon with that flamethrower. Making bacon. And then sprinklers come down, and Elisabeth Shue's getting the shit kicked out of her. Then Brolin hits him. And usually, I mean, this... He even does the dumb move in the slasher film. He hits the guy once real hard with a crowbar. Kevin Bacon, and even does the dumb slasher moment where they both turn and walk away, and then Kevin Bacon gets up. But at least it leads to something where where Josh Brolin looks and then moves him so that he electrocutes himself. And granted, yes, I don't know why that even though he's just turned invisible, he's now as powerful as Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, and the fact that he will not die. I mean, it's not like the fucking invisible shield from Fantastic Four from Invisible Girl. But somehow he can survive getting flamethrowed, burned all up. He can survive getting electrocuted. And then, before that, someone hit him really hard in the back of the head with a crowbar or pipe. But he still keeps on going. But, that's sort of the fun of the slasher movie. And I can live, I understand someone pointing that out. That's why I pointed it out. But I'm having too much fun to care. I think that's really at the end of the day. If I'm having too much fun to care, then I can let it go. And if I'm not having fun, then you're shit out of luck with me. They had to climb this elevator. There's Kevin Bacon had made a bomb, so it blows up. Really good explosion. I thought it was filmed very well. And so the elevator is coming down, and Shue and Brolin passes by them. They're still climbing up, and Kevin Bacon comes back and pulls her back, and Elisabeth Shue tricks his ass, able to let her go so that the rest of the elevator falls down with him, and she's hanging there, and there's an explosion under her feet, and big spectacle. At this point, Kevin Bacon is not invisible, but he's just, all he sees is muscle tissue, which, yeah, I mean, that's, you could say a little bit spotty CGI, but I thought for what they had back in 2000, I thought it was still pretty neat to look at, pretty neat to watch. And then right when they get out, the movie ends. It doesn't fuck around. This film, I mean, I'm not sure what was so... Is this 5 minutes of new footage? I don't know what that was, to be honest. And damn, it's getting darker as I'm doing this. But I really don't have any problems with this. Yeah, you did a little bit of the... They made the dumb move in a slasher movie. But again, I think that's what people don't like, is that it became a slasher film. I love that. Because I've never seen that 80s slasher movie put to an Invisible Man film. Again, I know there's one called The Invisible Maniac or something like that. But if you think about it, back in the day when the slasher films going in their heyday, kind of surprised they didn't say, hey, how about an Invisible Man slasher movie? But you never got that, and now you do with this. To me, it's Paul Verhoeven's last great movie. I don't care for the stuff he did afterward. Sorry, just not for me. I like this more than Starship Troopers. I think it's underrated because no one ever talks about it. And I don't think this did well in the US, but I guess it did something because for some reason it got a direct-to-video sequel. So maybe it made some money overseas. I remember not making money here in the US. but it probably made some money overseas. Because even Paul Verhoeven said, yeah, it made a lot of money. I'm like, not in the US, but I guess overseas it did. But yeah, no one ever talks about this film. No one ever mentions this film, and I love this movie. I thought the special effects were fun to watch and pretty cool to watch. I thought the cast did well. I thought the you want your blood, you got it. You want some of your tits, you got it. And it was a fast enough pace. Never got bored. Jerry Goldsmith, I thought he did a nice job on the score. It's not one of his best scores, but I thought it worked fine. And I love the third act. I love that it turned into this 80s slasher movie. I love it. Most people hate it. I love it. So fuck it. That's Hollow Man from 2000, I believe. And yeah, I never understood why this film has sort of been forgotten. I don't think it deserves it. That's just my opinion. But yeah, that's Hollow Man. If you're wondering, this has, like I said, extended edition of the film containing over 5 minutes of additional footage, which I don't know exactly what that is. Little 15-part behind-the-scenes documentary on the making of the film. Nothing, like, no new interviews. This is when the film came out. Anatomy of a Thriller, additional behind-the-scenes feature on the making of the film. Visual effects, picture comparisons. And I think if you have the DVD, there's a commentary with the director. I believe if you have the DVD. Which now I'm kind of mad that I got rid of the DVD, because like, oh, the Blu-ray works, I don't need it on DVD anymore, and now I'm kind of pissed at myself because, oh yeah, I think that had a commentary. Shit, I should have saved that, but that's my own fault. But anyway, thanks to Tony for sending this to me. It's great to watch this again. And yeah, it looked fine on Blu-ray. Either way, thanks for watching, take care, and we'll see you on the next one. Later.